Peace. What's good? How y'all doing? It is I, ZaZa Ali. Today is Friday. Man, this month flew by fast. Oh my goodness. Today is Friday, February 24th, 2022. It literally just turned February and now it's about to turn March. But today is Friday, February 24th, 2023. I pray that this message reaches you all in the best of health, spirit, and mind. I am doing well. Thank you for inquiring. I have a multitude of things that I want to talk about today. I created this subject around a post that I read, a friend shared with me that I'm going to share with you guys in a second, but I have notes and scribbles and something I want to read from the super being. So I don't have like one specific thing that I'm going to focus on, but I think the title, hey, what happened to my title? Oh, that's right. Okay, so I switched gears in okay, yeah, that makes sense. I switched gears at the last minute. I had a presentation that had the titles of this video, which is Ain't Taking No More Bullshit. And so I set it up. I had like 10 slides, but then when I went back and looked at it, made the screens larger, it was very jumbled and it was taking time to load and it didn't look crisp and clean. So then I went online, I found another video that will do the trick and I don't have to like monitor it and observe it to make sure it doesn't start buffering. So pardon me for having that conversation in my head out loud. But the name of this video, the title of this video is Ain't Taking No More Bullshit. And I'm not going to say bullshit every time, but I have to say it in the beginning to be dramatic because this is a dramatic time. And we chose to come during a dramatic time. So our souls are revolutionary to be awoke and to be, cognizant of the different layers of consciousness and the extremities that are happening in this hour. The percentage of people on this planet is very low. We say, 85% of the people are deaf, dumb, and blind, 10% are bloodsuckers of the poor, and then the 5% are the true poor righteous teachers. I think that the actual number in 2023 is 5% of the 5%. And we've talked about that before, so that's not new. But I'm going to get into everything that I want to talk about in my notes, and I'm going to read this comment. Before I get to that, I did get another question for Ask Me Anything, and I was holding on to it so that I could ask it with other questions because I knew I wasn't going to, my answer to the question wasn't going to be long, but I'm going to go ahead and address it now. And then tomorrow, Saturday the 25th, if you have a question for Ask Me Anything, you can put it in the group membership channel, or you can email it to me, info@zazaali.com. Anything you want to ask, anything you're curious about, maybe something you're struggling with, science, health, medicine, relationships, love, etc., etc. If you want my 2 cents, that's one of the perks of being in this group is that you actually, have access to ask me whatever you want. So that'll post tomorrow if I get additional questions. But I got one question from one of our members a couple of weeks ago, and I sat it to the side, and then I forgot to ask it in Ask Me Anything. She asked me if I could sit and have a conversation with any one person, dead or alive, who would it be? And I actually had to think about that. And I have an answer, and it's not one person, it's actually two. And I'm going to tell you why. They're both no longer with us in the physical. And I know that if I answer this question again in a year, it's going to be different. My answer is going to be different. But because I am really, really, sort of immersed in history right now and looking at these specific, powerful people, men and women that actually lived, that actually did, major world-changing things that shifted consciousness and shifted the lives of, generations to come. I'm going to say two people that I talk about in the history book, and I'm going to tell you why in the textbook. The first one is Sakanuye no Tamu Romaro, and I'm practicing his name. I'm practicing all the names. So when I go on my book tour and when I do the videos and presentations and different things, that I can get them right. But there's a learning curve. I actually had some tough guy tag me in, and he's just lucky I wasn't in the mood that particular day. But he tagged me and said, "Oh, these were Black people, and you didn't even say his name right," talking about King Kamehameha, excuse me. And again, working on these names. And so he went off on this whole tangent. And when I saw the tag, I responded to him and was like, "Bro, relax. Like, are you more upset at the fact that I didn't pronounce his name correctly, or happy and appreciative of the fact that I'm like honoring his legacy and, trying to bring his name forward to properly honor his history?" And he was still like huffing and puffing and a warrior without a war. We have a lot of those on social media, warriors without a war. So they find reasons to start arguments. And I mentioned the comment from, or the quote from, I think it was George Green, one of the videos in the Hidden in Plain Sight tab of your library, where he's talking about, the quote unquote Illuminati. And they were asking him about how important is it to look back and to, sort of do the deep dives and go into and down the rabbit hole to ascertain these different periods of history and how they affect us now. And his answer was so brilliant and so precise. He said, "It's okay to look back, just don't stare." And that was critical to me because, especially me being a lover of history and going through different phases where I was like in college, just 1000% immersed in history. And then, there was years where I didn't pick up a history book at all, or even probably have many history, conversations. And then certain periods I'm online, debating people and posting videos and commentary that are specifically about history, like all these different ebbs and flows of how I've been relating to and understanding history and how it relates to today. But I've been very conscientious. I won't say never. I have been very conscientious about not staring without even knowing it. That's a recollection for me to say that. And so I think for a lot of our people, melanated people, indigenous people, native people, African, Black, etc., a lot of us are staring at history because history is more fulfilling and gratifying than the present in terms of what we've accomplished. And history is more gratifying and satisfying than the future, because we don't know if we're going to do it, but we know they did it. So there's a very large, and especially remember, we're in the time of extremities. There's major extremes going on. We've got a major, spiritual battle ahead of us. We're in it. We're in the thick of it right now. The potential chaos and insanity and, dare I say, death, not just physical death, but mental and spiritual, emotional. I'm seeing people die spiritual deaths every day. People are losing their shit. And so the light beings amongst us, the sensitive, caring, and compassionate beings amongst us, and yes, we are few. Those of us that are seeking to be in alignment with nature, seeking something greater than ourselves, seeking to be a part of something greater than ourselves, which will only lead us to understand that there is nothing greater than ourselves, because we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. There's no separation. So I and my Father are one. That's the real concept and definition of Christ consciousness, which is something we should be aspiring to, not worshiping. It's not a man to be worshiped. It's a state of consciousness, a state of awareness, an intention, and a state of being. And yes, we have and should have right now, if we got the whole point of the story of Jesus, be striving to live in Christ consciousness. But again, it's more safe, it's less burdensome to depend on a man from 2,000 years ago. Everything that he did and everything he's going to do when he comes back. So I haven't even gotten to the question. You see how that works? Time. Let me see how long I've been talking. I'm measuring through my frequency book. Okay, my frequency video. Okay, so it looks like I've been talking for 11 and a half minutes, right? And I haven't even answered the question about who would I love to have a conversation with. So there's two people, both of them are historical figures from ancient people, a social studies and history textbook. The first one is Sakanuye no Tamu Ramararo. Wait, Tamu Ramaro. Yeah, Tamu Ramaro. I'm going to get it right. Don't worry. But I say him specifically because at the time of, and in the book, we go back to his father, who was the original warrior in the family, as well as the men of his family and the men of that time. There was a group of mercenaries, which his father was a part of, and they were called the Men of the East. And there was the local king at the time was having difficulty with squashing rebellions and, you know, foreign elements coming in and trying to attack. And so he had a weak army. They weren't, you know, making much of a stance. And basically the local outlaws were punking him. And so they made an agreement with Sakanuye's father for him and this group of men, these warriors called the Men of the East, to basically become their army. And they did that, and they, you know, basically over time and through these different experiences that happened, became known as this very high level, highly respected, sort of dignified, you know, very high standard as far as moral code. It was very emphasized in the different, you know, things that I read about and studied about this man and his family, that they were very well known, almost as known for being warriors. They were also as known for being, you know, men of high class, not high class, high caliber morality status. And so this is where the concept of the samurai stems from. And this is, you know, I think in a past lifetime, I was definitely like a professional mercenary, a ninja, a warrior, a secret, you know what I mean? Some major king, secret hitman or woman, you know, that was taking people off the set without ever being discovered. And then I eventually, you know, retired to a beach somewhere around the world and lived my life until I transitioned. But I've always resonated with the samurai martial arts, you know, kung fu warrior energy. And so it's perfect, right, that I would be discussing this particular topic in this book. Actually, why I chose this topic in the first book. So you have these men that just were so highly regarded, highly respected. And this is how the samurai was established. Now, the official samurai didn't come to be until, I think it was 350 years later. And so, of course, true to global fashion, they never properly give this man and his family their proper due in Japanese culture for obvious reasons. So they just try to, you know, they make it seem like there was this uprising in these peasants who were fighting for their rights. They were poor and they didn't have anything, but, you know, they made this stance and they're like a blip in history. And then 400 years later, here come the real samurai. No, the whole concept of the samurai was created around Sakanuye, who was the shogun, who was anointed as the first quote unquote shogun, which is later part of the concept of shogun in terms of or comparing shogun and samurai, right? So it would be him, number one, because I would love to see and experience that level of warrior class, untainted from this world, untainted from slavery, untainted from racism, untainted from the insanity and chaos of this world, and just like truly in his element in terms of living in his destiny. So it will be him, and then it would be Pharaoh Hatshepsut. And she's always been my number one historical favorite. That's not the right word, but you know, she's always been my sort of, if I could embody anybody or anything, you know, in terms of impact, in terms of changing the dichotomy of the world, like she was one of those historical figures. And just to rule in a time, again, beyond this time and space and the chaos that's happening in this world, and to be limitless, and to, you know, have your own carved out space in the world without limitation, and to be able to do as you choose and affect people in a good way, and build monuments so that your name will extend through the annals of time, and be just and fair and righteous towards the people that look to you for guidance. As a woman in a very pivotal time in history, the 18th dynasty was crucial. And she came from a long line of queens. So just that idea, because our ideas of womanhood for me in 2023 just leave a lot to be desired. It's hard for me to find inspiration. I'm saying that it's true, but I also don't want to say that because I don't want it to be true. But you know, it's difficult to find inspiration in this world if you're just looking at what's on the surface. So in order to not just look at what's on the surface, you have to live beyond the surface. You have to live with depth, D-E-P-T-H, to attract the depth in others. And then you can gravitate, you know, more towards the message, no matter where it comes from. Right? So those would be my two. And they were both rebels. Hatshepsut was definitely a rebel. Hatshepsut said, I know what the law is. I know what customs are. I know how we've been doing this for a long time, but I think we're going to go a different direction this time around. And she proceeded to tell her people and the priests and the sort of all of the other people that were responsible for making decisions that she was the daughter of God. There's more on that in the book, but I'm just saying, because as I talked about in one of the recent videos, you know, these people, the powers that be, the quote unquote powers that be, they're not moving with limitations. You know, you talk about shooting for the stars, they're shooting beyond, they're shooting for the galaxies. They're preparing for space wars. They see what's happening. They see nature. They see butterflies and bees and polar bears and grass and trees and clean water, and try to figure out how to way to one up that, instead of just appreciating it, instead of just connecting with it and becoming one with it. They want to destroy it. Why would you ever need to create a genetically modified tree when you see what's on this screen right now? And there's billions of trees all over the world. What purpose would there actually be for a genetically modified tree in any civilized society? I had I posted on Instagram and Facebook a video that I had posted a couple of years ago about his old elder. Her granddaughter is telling her that she took the shot, and you know, they're having this really serious conversation that her granddaughter just found so funny and cute. But the wisdom of her grandmother was, you know, oh, you're stupid. And in a minute, They're going to be controlling you guys. You ain't going to be able to have children. She's running it down 2 years ago. And everything that she said was right and exact. And I had somebody in the comments come and say, actually 2 people, because somebody else backed this up. How could you even listen to anything she's saying? She sounds like she's one step away from slavery, like criticizing her broken English. And it's like, first of all, this idea now that we think we know more than the elders. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no sacredness to how we address and how we handle our elders. Nobody expects for a woman who's 80 or 90 years old to you know what I mean, to sound like she walks from out of Harvard. If she's a Black woman in America and she's 90 years old or 80 years old, she's been through some things. The only thing you should have for her is grace, first of all. But secondly, and to my point, going back to the genetically modified trees and the GMO foods and the seeds and this synthetic war against nature, how many well-to-do PhDs and master degree carrying 12 years in school, professional scientists, professional doctors, professional healers and trainers and psychiatrists, the people who help people cure depression and mind issues, physical health, the people that we in this society have completely looked up this whole time. The articulate ones, the intelligent ones, the elevated ones. And it turns out most of them are cowards. I think it's fair to say most now. Normally, I don't like to generalize blankets of people like that, but we're 3 years in now. I think it's safe to say most at this point. So in a world that is where we're headed, where frequency is the name of the game, it don't matter how correct or how proper your English is. It matters about your vibrational countenance. It matters about your clarity. It matters about your mental and spiritual, your mental and emotional balance and alignment, synchronicity. And to me, being that, when I've been talking about that idea of being spiritually shrewd, because my subject today is ain't taking no more bullshit. And so I'm going to get to my reading piece in just a second to really open this conversation up. But I said ain't. I could have said I ain't, right? I ain't taking no more bullshit. Could have said that. Could have said I'm not taking any more BS. Could have definitely said that. But the broken language and the emphasis on ain't, it's kind of like a middle finger to all of this insanity happening around us. It's the rebellious nature in me. First of all, emphasizing the point about the grandmother, because I ride for the people that I you know what I'm saying? I ride for the people that I rock with. Even if it's just on a social media comment. Like, ain't nobody finna come on my post and disrespect this elder and not get a sword taken to their, energetic sword, of course. We don't condone violence. Spiritually and mentally, though, we will defend ourselves. And I will defend ourselves in every capacity for that point. But I'm just talking about in this this way, this space of consciousness, social media, the internet. Most of the people that I interact with online, I will never meet. They'll never meet me. I'll never meet them. But there's still an energetic exchange. There's still a transmutation. So ain't taking no more bullshit is because we ain't. The stakes are too high. The prophecy is way too close. like literally walking through it every day, a new revelation being unfolded. Meanwhile, you see how beautiful nature is, how consistent nature is, how wonderful and amazing and fruitful and expansive and limitless and beautiful and colorful and exotic and welcoming and nurturing and empowering and emboldening and invigorating nature is. Why I play this video in the background. Keep me balanced, because I'm looking out the window, right? It's been raining all day today. I'm in LA and it's forecasted rain for all this week, right? So normally for me, anybody who, has a home office, right, to look out the window and see the rain and hear the rain hitting your window panes and wind, and it's nostalgic, especially when you live in California. It doesn't rain a lot, right? Or anywhere where it doesn't rain. Who doesn't love that? The night is like coming to an end, so the sky is, it's still bright enough to see outside, but dark enough that it's night is coming. And I've been in my office all day pretty much working. And I've had moments where I would look outside and get frustrated because for 3 days leading up to this storm, I watched them spray. So I watched them create this storm. Right. And I know this is touchy in terms of how much of this is nature, how much of this is man-made. I like to talk about what I see, what I observe, what I know. So I watch them build storms here all the time. I know how it works. I know how the Pacific jet stream works. We've talked about that 1,000 times, so I don't need to get into that. So, but the point is, I'm sitting here and I'm asking myself, can I still enjoy a beautiful rainy day, even if in the back of my mind it was started with nefarious purposes? That's the balance right there. That's a clear indication of the type of war that we're facing during this time. Because I still love the rain. I still love what it does for nature. I still have high hopes and faith that the water is still nurturing the soil, even as I have seen plenty of evidence of what chemtrails and, polluted water is actually doing to the natural resources of our planet. How it's impacting the trees, how it's impacting the water, how the water impacts the soil, how the soil impacts the quality of the food. I don't know if you guys are paying attention when you eat onions and bell peppers and, living foods. They don't have that same zing, that same quality, that same oomph. Used to be when you eat a salad, you have raw onions on your salad, like, your forehead's gonna curl up a little bit as you're taking in the pungent onion on your taste buds. You'd be lucky if you get that experience now. You go to farmers markets and more smaller sort of mom and pop shops, you can still find good quality organic food, but they are becoming fewer and far in between. There's a little more access being in California because the food production here is consistent all year long, but still, I spend more money to eat higher quality food when I do eat out or when I purchase food, because I am aware of all of those things. And that's important because this is something I've been meditating on. I told you guys I was going to kind of be all over the place, so just bear with me. Let's see, how long have I been talking? 30 minutes in. Okay. Food has a vibration. So does the way we process food, the way we think about food. So for me, if I just went in a store and, let's say I want to make some spaghetti. And so I needed onions and bell peppers and garlic and spinach and carrots, whatever. And so I went into the store, I've got this, my taste buds are ready. This is exactly what I want, but they don't have organic. They have conventional. And so it's 9 o'clock. All the stores are getting ready to close. This is my only option if I want to cook tonight. So I end up buying the conventional produce. Cook the spaghetti, tastes great, can't taste the difference. None will be the wiser. But if in my mind, during the whole time that I'm cooking this food and the way that I'm ingesting and internalizing the food, I'm thinking, damn, this is conventional. I know Monsanto probably sprayed this, and this might not even be real. These might not even be real onions, da, 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 da. I am projecting a negative imprint on that food and the way that my body processes it. It has to be so if the placebo effect is real. Because the placebo effect says that I can take a sugar pill, and if I believe that that sugar pill is a cure, and I hold the frequency of the belief that the sugar pill will serve that exact purpose, not because it's the cure, but because I said it was the cure. Because I told my body, my cellular infrastructure, my brain, everything about me, I made the decision and didn't step away from it and didn't doubt it and didn't fear if it wouldn't happen. I said 1000%, yes, this is true, so shall it be.